New tonight, the easily forgotten rules of the road after heavy snow, where violations are happening the most and what it can cost you. A student behind bars accused of attempted violence on a Rochester College campus, the uncomfortable confrontation in a lecture hall. Plus, the missing safety feature at Syracuse's airport, why a plane with emergency engine trouble had to land on a dark runway.
This is NBC3 News at 11, winner of the Edward R. Murrow Award for Overall Excellence.
As we're nearing the end of a week of dramatic weather pattern shifts, many Central New Yorkers handled the sudden snowfall in dramatically different ways. Kids off from school played in the snow. Adults had to fit shoveling and brushing into an already busy routine. Others braved a difficult commute before the quieter evening weather settled in. Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy. Others are forgetting the rules of winter or simply were not prepared for it. We have weather team coverage for you tonight. Our Samantha Croston tracking parking violations and what it can cost drivers who break forgotten and specific rules. Dale Ostrander's in Oswego County showing us the contrast just a few miles can make when a lake effect snow band hits. But first, meteorologist Peter Hall tells us what's coming our way still tonight. Peter, any more concern?
Well, there was some lake effect snow this evening just to the north of Syracuse. It's winding down, but I figured out this stat, which I thought was pretty neat. Take a look at this. So Syracuse officially got to 10 inches of snow for the day, meaning starting at midnight the night before till right now. It has been nearly 6 years since we've had double-digit snowfall in Syracuse. That's quite remarkable since a typical season gets almost 128 inches. So, yeah, I know there's been some days where we've had the night before and then the day after for the whole event, but I just thought that that was pretty interesting. Something we haven't done in 2,178 days. My goodness. That shows you how snow-free we've been, relatively speaking. Still some lighter snow. It was coming down hard around Central Square in Fulton earlier. This is about the last gasp of snow. This is heading out. Moving in, nicer weather, brighter weather, too. Look at all the sun. Now, it's still seasonably chilly to start, but with sunshine and a southerly breeze, despite the snowpack, we should be in the mid and upper 40s. Stanley lost Skywatch 81 downtown Syracuse. Looks fine. We're going to show you how high we go now that numbers are climbing again. It's up next.
Thank you, Peter. As plows are making the rounds, clearing out those streets, we're finding some rule breakers parked on the wrong side of the road. Watch carefully as the owner of this car strolled to her car. The plow driver's waiting to get his job done. Moments later, she does drive off, and the snowplow operator continues his route. It's one of many violations across the city of Syracuse tonight. As we take a live look at Syracuse's snowplow map, the yellow lines you see on the streets, these are the areas that have just been plowed in the last few hours. They're cleared, and many of them are main thoroughfares. These dots, these represent cars illegally parked, making it tough for snowplows to get around. Tonight we're explaining how parking on the wrong side of the street can cost you. Our Samantha Croston's live in Syracuse with more. Sam?
And Matt, the sign clearly states parking is permitted from 6 p.m. even days to 6 p.m. odd days. Tonight's an odd day, February 29th, and yet there are still cars parked on the wrong side of the road. It's a decision that can cost you both figuratively and literally. You'll see. Paul Belinsky is a plow driver who spends hours doing his routes to keep the streets free of snow. Cars parked on the wrong side of the road only makes that process longer.
And if they come down your street and there's people on both sides of the road, they can basically just get down the center. They can't plow both sides of the road.
For plow drivers, it's an inconvenience.
It's extra gas mileage and time, and I mean, you're talking about hitting your route 4 times versus hitting it 2 times.
For business owners like Robert Eccles, who owns an eatery on a side street on the north side, it can determine whether a customer chooses his restaurant or not.
If you see cars on both sides and stuff like that, you know, some people might not want to walk to the door or park far away and walk to, you know, the restaurant.
And for those who live on streets that aren't plowed, it can be a safety hazard too.
You can't park as well on the side of the road because you can't get rid of the snow. And then when it does come through, it's going to fill in your driveways again, so it's inconveniencing everybody. Another standpoint is your house could be burning down and fire trucks cannot get through.
There's also another factor to consider here, which is the fact that, yes, today is an odd day, but tomorrow is also an odd day. And that is something that can happen. So, Matt, it's just a matter of being aware and understanding that that can happen in back-to-back days. Also being aware that if you are a car that's parked on the wrong side of the road, there can be a fine associated with that.
There's something to keep in mind as we still have winter weather still to come this season, Sam, one way or another. We're pretty sure of that. Thank you. You know, tonight, National Grid says crews have restored power to 90% of the upstate New York customers impacted by the storm when those high winds came through mostly last night. Company says it has more than 3,200 workers battling the lake effect snow, the gusty winds that caused the damage. National Grid says the bad weather caused more than 200 broken utility poles, which can take up to 6 hours each to fix. Our team coverage continues outside the city of Syracuse. Lake effect snow hit many parts of central New York, but also left other areas with a fairly light dose or a coating of snow. If you take a look at this time lapse from our Weather Authority 1, you get an idea of the changing conditions. Shows how quickly the weather can change. Our Dale Ostrander spoke to neighbors who were on the receiving end of snow and those who didn't get quite as much.
Parts of Baldwinsville received up to 10 inches of snow and high winds Wednesday into Thursday evening. Neighbors here feel unlucky that the lake effect snow picked them to receive the brunt of the snow. It was sunny Thursday afternoon in Baldwinsville as neighbors were still working to clear out their driveways after the snow came down.
Well, it wasn't too bad, you know. It could have been a couple of feet, you know. Those are really bad storms, but this was okay. This was good. And this is the second time I'm clearing the driveway.
After the snowfall subsided, Gillick wasn't the only one still cleaning off the driveway, frustrated by snow.
You have to deal with the snow when it comes and just make the best out of it and make the best out of a bad situation. But, you know, it's something you have to live with and enjoy in Syracuse, especially having all 4 seasons.
Griesbach and Gillick both feel a bit targeted by Mother Nature's lake effect, knowing some nearby communities saw just a dusting.
It would be nicer if they had the snow versus us to not have to shovel it.
I think that's just part of living here, you know. Sometimes you get and sometimes you don't. And this time we got a little bit of the snow, but it wasn't too bad.
I left Baldwinsville and headed just over the Oswego County border into Fulton. Just 11 miles north and only a coating of snow.
Oh, I dodged a bullet finally, because all of this winter we've been getting snow after snow, and down there they've been getting nothing.
Yeah.
But this time we dodged a bullet.
Campagna drives for DoorDash. She appreciates missing out on the snow.
I'm really happy. My car's really happy because this is a front-wheel drive car. She would not be able to handle half the stuff that she handles up here.
While Fulton may have missed out on the snow Wednesday evening, the lake effect machine is not done yet as it has started snowing here just after darkness. Reporting in Fulton, I'm Dale Ostrander.
And good news for Dale, that's a couple hours ago. He's been able to brush it off, and that lake effect snow, as Peter just mentioned, is really starting to tail off for everybody. Well, new at 11 tonight, a 79-year-old Chittenango man is dead after his Jeep crashed in Manlius noon yesterday. Town of Manlius police responded to the crash on Salt Springs Road. They learned that Chester Williams was driving his 2011 Jeep Wrangler, went off the road, rolled over into a ditch. He later died at the hospital. The investigation into the cause of that crash is still ongoing. St. John Fisher University student faces kidnapping and attempted sexual abuse charges, according to a felony complaint. 19-year-old Shalon Matthews allegedly tried to stab an employee at the Wegman School of Pharmacy there. Matthews allegedly told her he lived off campus and could not go home out of fear his father would kill him over his failing grades. The employee offered to contact security to get him in touch with the wellness center.
At the point of that conversation, the individual stood up, produced a knife from his pocket, and attempted to injure the staff member. Thankfully, she was able to fight off that attack.
Court documents say Matthews also attempted to make sexual contact with the victim. After the confrontation, Matthews took off, and the college went into a lockdown for nearly 3 hours. Deputies spotted his vehicle. Hours later, he was taken into custody then. Well, coming up, a missing safety aid during an emergency landing at Syracuse's airport. Why a plane that was heading overseas with engine troubles had to land here on a dark runway. And visiting the room in Syracuse dedicated to changing the way we approach mental health and having hard conversations. Plus, meteorologist Peter Hall returns to let us know How much milder the weather will be tomorrow, and how does that weekend look for us when we come back?